And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Moving to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Spare, get ready. We ready?
Then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on this weird and unusual evening, because it is an unusual evening because I have been looking and listening to the internet in bits all day while building wardrobes. Without further ado, though, the boys that have been following this all day, David, Lee, and Terrestrial. How you doing, boys?
What's up?
Crazy times we are living in.
I agree.
Crazy.
I think Lee's froze up. He'll be okay.
And getting
I
crazier.
aim to make friends with Ollie because I heard he has a fit mom. He does have a fit mom.
I can't comment on that. How would I?
We can.
That'd be weird.
Yeah. I've never seen her. I've never seen her before, so I can't comment either.
I'll mail you the Polaroid.
You have up here. You have up here.
That's what matters.
Rekka has got the invite. He just sent me a message. He hasn't seen it, so he should be on this in a second.
Oh, cool,
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's new, guys? Anything new happen?
Nothing. It was my birthday. I think that was the only significant thing that happened on the 13th of July.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Yeah. It's the only
England didn't win the Euros.
Yeah, I don't care.
What is that? Is that a sport? Does anyone care about that? Doesn't seem like it's
I think you call it soccer.
Oh,
We
definitely nobody
soccer.
cares about that. Yeah. So why are we here?
That's why you could probably still hear my children because we let them stay up for it. They are going to bed right now. Apparently, school said, because of the Euros, said the kids can come in an hour later to watch the game. So they can watch the game. So I'm like, normally they would be in bed for 8. But it's like, I can't argue with the school.
Is it that big of a deal over there, Ollie? Really?
Yeah. So it's been it's been a big deal because it's really shit. Like it is everywhere, but England's really shit as well. And I think the Euros is the people was holding on to it quite dearly. But yeah, it's over now. But they did well. They did well.
You guys just had an election too, didn't you? Or you're about to, or something like that?
We did, yes. We did have an election, and we've got an absolute toe rag in power right now.
But is he
But
the
yeah.
Antichrist? Because we might have one.
I don't think he's anything. He's just a knob.
Why might we have an Antichrist, Dave? Clue us in.
You know that it was certain groups of people were like, Trump's the Antichrist. Trump's the Antichrist. It's like, oh my God, this is stupid. It's just ridiculous. You hear that? Maybe he is. Maybe that's why I sneezed. It's code. But if you get into like Revelation 13:3, he got shot in the head. He's okay. I don't know. Let's see what the name of the gun is. It's not. It's pretty crazy times, man. It's pretty crazy times.
So you said if the gun, if it's
because the Antichrist is supposed to be wounded in the head by a sword and miraculously like be okay, and like with that comes the other forms of the beast that with the power of the dragon lift him up and get people to follow him, and it's like the beginning of a thing. And Revelation 13, it's good little fun read. I don't think that's it, but it's a little spooky. The fact is Trump got shot, and just to warm everyone up, the U.S. government is complicit in it. There's absolute helping hand. There's no way around that. Somebody somewhere knew, and for anyone on the ground to be like, well, I'm just a low man doing what I'm told, you absolutely saw the hole in security. So that's where we are. Fun times.
Here he is. Rekka, welcome to the
hey,
show, man.
There he is. What's up, Doug? Can you hear us? Can't hear you, man. If you can hear us.
Hey, what's up, guys? Having some technical difficulties with the.
So's Lee.
Freaking.
Seems to be a thing today, you know?
What's going on with the.
You're the perfect guy to weigh on Revelations 13:3. Go, man.
Except Christ now.
Trump got hit in the head, man. If the rifle comes back as a black sword armament or tactical saber, they're gonna go wild with it.
Yeah, this is a hell of a time to be seeing your pretty face.
I've been on a couple different shows today. It's been a hell of a day.
Ollie, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm good, Rekka. How you doing, mate?
Oh man, I have been monitoring this situation very closely, as I'm sure you're all aware. Still talking to guys who are active. Here's the thing. Revelation 13:3, one of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its wound was healed. There was no mortal wound to an ear.
This is true.
So
this is true.
I don't want to go too down the dark conspiracy hole, which my mind has been down over the last 12 hours. Yes. But I'll tell you my theory, and you can tell me how wrong I am. My theory is, because I understand psychological operations and I understand propaganda, is that since Trump came on board, there has been a push for a rebellion in the United States.
Yep.
The government has created all the rhetoric since Obama to label only right-wing, white male, veterans, Second Amendment enthusiast Christians as domestic terrorists. I remember when it actually came out, and it wasn't even a policy yet. It was just something that was being rumored that Obama was actually mulling around creating. And so I remember in the infancy looking at the domestic violent extremist beginnings of the policy, just the drafts of it. And I knew, because I read through 86 pages of it, and I knew then, this ain't good. Like, this is really not good. This is not good at all. And so I think what the elite need to happen. Now, I will say this before we get started. I'm a Christian. I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I believe that God is in control. Satan's on a choke chain, and he's allowed to do what he's allowed to do, but God is in control, and God elects all leaders. That is my standpoint. So I'm neither Republican nor Democrat, nor conservative, nor liberal, libertarian, crazy, left wing. I stand on the guidelines of the Constitution and my Bible, and from there, the whole world's against me and I'm against it. And that's just how I am. So with that in mind, I come at this objectionably, right? So, and that's about as fair as I can be. That's how I was when I was in law enforcement. I don't choose party sides. They're not on my side, so I'm not on their side. It's kind of the way I am. So this is what I see. I see over the past 10, 12 years, a big setup for the majority of Americans who would be willing to fight against a tyrannical government to have that idea of rebellion, righteous rebellion against a tyrannical government, the idea of Christianity to be captured by the enemy, and then instead of having a organic movement by the people, have a false organic movement by the elite and control the movement, control the populace. That's what I believe has been going on for a very long time. I think Trump is unwittingly a part of it. I think his ego is way too big to say that he's out here as, you know, a dastardly person that's like a part of the NWO. But I think Trump's ego is being used, and we're seeing as what is in Matthew 24, kingdom coming against kingdom, nation versus nation. Well, different kingdoms can also be, you know, people. If you don't think a billionaire is a king, well, they are in their own light. Elon Musk is a king. He's a king of technocracy. Trump was a king of real estate. He was a king of his own little realm, his own little facet of life that he had created for himself and all that. So I think Trump wants America to be great again. I think Trump wants to do good. I know a lot of Secret Service guys who had nothing but good things to say about Trump. I know a lot of U.S. attorneys who had nothing but good things to say about Trump. We all like Trump. The only people who didn't like Trump were the radical leftists. And I mean, they don't like anybody. They don't like themselves. Nothing's perfect for them. I've never trusted Donald Trump. I will say that. I've never trusted him from the beginning. I've asked, what does a billionaire want with the world's most powerful military? That's always been the top part of my mind. Did Trump do good while he was president? Yeah, he did. Did Trump do bad while he was president? Yeah, he did. He did a lot of things I didn't like, did a lot of things I liked. He came against the Second Amendment, and he's pro-abortion, and he didn't lock up Hillary. I'm sure there's other things I got to add into that, like he increased the NDA and FISA and the illegal spying on Americans. He didn't get rid of any of that stuff. He didn't get rid of a lot of executive orders that are actually not good for Americans. However, so has every single president, because it's part of the plan, I believe. And so now we have the resurgence of Donald Trump. Look at what happened with 2020. I mean, I was directly involved with it, with all the freaking riots and all that. Back then we were saying, man, civil war is one wrong push and shove and mispronounced, ma'am or sir away from all out civil war in America. Everybody wanted it. Everybody was talking about it. And now we're even closer 4 years later than we were then. And now Trump's shot. I think personally, because of the people that Trump surrounded himself with, that he's very, very ignorant of the way the world is in politics. I don't think he's a real Christian. If he is, he's as lukewarm as you can get. And I have a problem with that because, for one thing, I care about the man's soul. Before all politics are laid out bare, I care about the man's soul. But I think personally, Trump's being used. And a lot of people are on that bandwagon. If you look at the Reawakening America tour, if you look at a lot of the leaders of the MAGA movement, they all claim to be Christian. They all claim to be all kinds of things. And there's many pastors that are there too. And I don't think people don't want good for America. But once again, let's talk about captured propaganda and how propaganda is used. I think what we're looking at is steering a crowd of people into a direction that is an intended goal. And the intended goal has intended consequences. I'll say this as a Christian, that the timepiece of the world is Israel. And there's going to come a point in time, Israel's going to be attacked. No one is going to come there to defend it or come to its aid. Right now, the number one country that would come and defend Israel and render aid to Israel is who? Us, United States. So I think part of the goal is to take the United States off the chessboard. I don't think we're going to get wiped out, but I don't think we're going to have the ability to come and respond and help. And I think what we're seeing is the build up to that. There's many narratives, there's many events that have been happening, that have been unfolding, and I'm sure many else to come. And this is interweaving and intertwining, but everyone believed QAnon and trust the plan and 30 to 40,000 warrants and all this crap, and none of it ever happened. And yet people are still chanting that, you know, Trump's basically the Messiah, to include Israel, who gave Trump the Prince of Peace Award, which is for Christ, not for Trump. So now we have this going on with Trump, okay? They tried to bankrupt the man. They tried to imprison him, embarrass him on a national scale, on an international scale. Someone is truly terrified of Donald Trump, which is I think the deep state, the elite, is truly terrified of Donald Trump. Once again, kingdom versus kingdom. Think of it in these scales. And now this attempted assassination, which can go in 20 different directions. Was it real? Was the guy who got shot the actual guy? Was it just a planted dude? No one knows for certain. And I'll say that because unless you were there on ground and you saw it firsthand, we have to trust what the authorities tell us.
Oh,
but
no, we never trust.
No, hold on. Listen, listen to me.
Gotta stop you there, brother. No, we don't. We don't trust the authorities, man. They will absolutely lie to you. They lie to you about everything.
That's what I'm getting to. What Fox News and CNN and MSNBC is telling you right now is trust what they're telling you. But I can go back into old documentation and white papers, Mockingbird, Operation Chaos, COINTELPRO, maybe a few others, Monarch Project, MK Ultra. We probably should not trust the government at their word, ever. And they have a history of lying to us, a history of abusing us. Look at Operation Northwoods, one of the biggest, most divisive, devious operations that the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Pentagon, ever created, and very few people ever knew about, still don't know about, trying to push us into nuclear war. Mm-hmm. So when I see this stuff happening with Trump, the first thing I thought of was, I don't like this. What's going on with the Secret Service? People are shouting, there's a gunman. Why isn't he rushed off stage? He should be bent over in a position like this, and everyone should be
3 men on him carrying the unbreakable belt, dragging him off the fucking stage.
Yeah, they should have been.
If you're a bullet cushion for a 6'4" man, why is it a 5'4" porky chick?
DEI. No,
dude, what is she doing out there?
Listen, man. Listen. Yeah. They claim DEI, and I'm going to tell you right now, everything that's being done is being done on purpose. Don't forget, a few years ago, 100%. there was a lady who was a supervisor for the Secret Service, said she wouldn't catch a bullet for Trump. Yep. She was never fired. So,
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
once again, here I am, federal law enforcement back then, and we were all up in arms, like, what the hell did that lady just say? Any single one of us would do that for anybody, more especially the president. So I think what's been going on is the whole world's a stage, as they say, right? The whole world's theater. I think what we're seeing is kind of parts of theater. And I have to say that because the government has proved to me that they'll do it. The government's proved to me that they'll make Manchurian candidates. And not only that, if this guy is linked to Antifa, the shooter, and we had 2 different shooters that first came up, 2 different identities, one shooter, 2 different identities. But if this guy is Antifa, well, let me tell you some facts. When we were serving warrants on Antifa and when we were arresting people in Antifa in the middle of these riots, guess who was the majority of people that we arrested that threw rocks at us, large rocks, or were throwing rocks at federal buildings to the tune of one guy who broke $300,000 worth of windows? Guess who they were using?
FBI.
Mentally ill. No, mentally ill people.
Like I said, FBI.
FBI.
It was, dude, it was sad. We ran this warrant on this one guy. I called him on the phone. I was like, hey, dude, just come turn yourself in. We know where you are. We're going to come visit your house. We know where you work, and we know who your associates are. We're going to find you. Let's just not have anything harmful happen to you. Please come turn yourself in. And the guy said no. So, all right, well, we're going to have to come find you then. So, of course, we went and we found him. And eventually the guy turns himself in to us. And we were all kind of shocked that he was mentally handicapped, had about maybe a 8th or 7th grade reading level, very bad comprehension skills. And we have him in our custody, get him water. He was hungry. I think we gave him a sandwich or something. We let him smoke a cigarette, and we're just talking to him, and we're not asking interrogating questions. We're just talking to him. We're waiting for the judge because we're about to come and bring him to him. And it's just sad because this guy's like, man, you guys are a lot nicer than I thought you were going to be. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, oh, well, all my friends told me you'd hurt me, you'd beat me up, you'd do this and that. Like, who told you that? Well, the people who told him that were the leaders of Antifa, who coaxed him into committing felonious crimes, and then he got blamed for it. He got arrested for it. They didn't. Well, the DNC. I'll say the DNC all day long.
The FBI. It's one of those things. So, like, we also have to be careful, I think, with the language we use, because we say theater. Really, what we mean is a planned advance with banked on externalities. It's like an assassination attempt. If it's successful for them, would be a fantastic thing. But the externality and fallout, there's a reason the guy's wearing the shirt he's wearing. There's a reason he's wearing the clothes he's wearing. There's a reason they picked this kid, who I'm sure if we looked into has a history of SSRIs. He has a history of therapy. He's a troubled person, right? He's been in an isolated academic environment that was stripped him away from his family.
He was
bullied. Yeah, I mean, they interviewed some kids that went to high school with.
He was in a video with BlackRock.
There you go. Yeah. With talking about socioeconomic development, the professor that was in there, he was selected for that.
I don't want to make this guy out to be like this victim, and we should all be like truly sorry for him or anything. Let the facts come out, whatever the facts are. But you got to be aware that there is a tactic, and we've proven it. I've experienced it myself numerous times, to use people who are mentally ill, mentally disturbed, who do not have good comprehension skills. All right. And I believe this guy would be a victim of that. From there, dude, it's how they spin it. And I think the goal is to spin this entire thing to piss off everybody in the MAGA movement, to piss off the average American who wants Trump, who wants to see a quote righteous man rule the country. I think the intended goal is eventually civil war, and they don't care how they get there. If Biden can't do it, Trump will do it.
So there's some good things. So like this person had put MK Ultra stuff. One of the interesting things about MK Ultra, while it was it's 100% a real thing. They did test it. They did drug people unknowingly. They did cheat the program. What they figured out with the mass dosing of the population, and SSRI is what I'm saying to that there, mods, is antidepressants. And I am aware, James, that both of his parents were therapists. Some of the most fucked up people I've met in my life, their parents were therapists. So when you have a general population that's under the influence, say we take 100 people, we start putting subliminal psychological messages out there. We start having the left that this person already identifies with talk about doing harm, doing bad. This guy's evil. This guy's literally Hitler. We should literally do something. They continue that mantra. You're going to get a couple of them to act. They've realized a long time ago they don't have to just snatch someone up and, Manchurian candidate them in a room, which they can definitely do. It's just easier to apply to the population. They know when timing someone's going to go there. Now, the specifics of this one are unbelievably fishy. Like just from a security protocol, and I know you're definitely on that, Doug. Can you believe
This is what I was wondering
that
about.
Roof is unsecured and unobserved?
Oh, we got a guy in the comment section that says we're all tools if you think you understand what's going on right now. You are all speaking anecdotally and in weak platitudes.
Correct.
Internet. Absolutely. Thanks for pointing that out, Sam. So on the roof that was 150 yards out, that is unobserved, unsecured with a ladder at the back. What the hell?
Look, here's the thing.
Before you go, think about this before you answer. Think about this. If you were there, right? You got the bubble. You have the circles going outside, circle after circle, and you're on that ring. You see a ladder, you see a roof. There's no one there. You're like, do you not immediately call that in? Guys, what the hell?
Well, the problems come with this. From the beginning, Trump didn't have the acquired needed amount of extra security that was requested. All right. I know he's not the president, but honestly, there's a higher threat on Trump than there is on Biden.
100%.
Okay? And he should have had extra security. The concentric rings of security should have pushed out for as far as possible. There should have been multiple sniper teams and not one. I'm not on the ground. I don't know. I'm not there. And I was never Secret Service.
So, well, that's the interesting thing. So we're just going to talk in generalities of security. Have you seen the video of the gentleman while they were alerting officers? There's video of them alerting officers on the ground, and they did nothing. They stood down.
The video that is most interesting to me is the woman calling the shooter's name while he's on the roof saying, "What are you doing?"
I saw that.
I didn't see that.
There's also the interview with his dad. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I can't talk to anyone right now. I don't know what's happening. I don't understand what's going on. That to me is a father who says, my son wasn't that crazy. Like this doesn't track, right? This is beyond.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother conspiracy theory in itself.
There's but the thing is, since MK Ultra, when MK Ultra was originally created, the use of LSDs, certain narcotics, barbiturates, marijuana, alcohol, and hallucinogens were limited in scope and notoriously overused in experiments, to the point that one of the head guys in charge of the operation actually died from it, from one of their own guys pouring LSD into their cocktails one night. Very interesting story. Now, there are other techniques, though. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's other techniques. You have sound to skull technology. All right, sound to skull technology is another one. The extremely low frequency ELF. That's one that has been, the Cuba phenomena that's been going on right now.
That's the one that's dialed up. Like that's the one that does effects. There's the voice from God, is when they directly put the waves in someone's head and they.
When Obama was president, we had at least 4 different people, 2 men, I believe 2 women, or it's 3 men.
Havana syndrome.
That were killed at the Capitol Police gate in DC, and they all said Obama was in my head, and they all attacked the police
Yeah.
over there.
Voice from God, man.
Yeah, I mean, when that was originally created and it was shown to the British Parliament said, absolutely not, make this illegal. Now you can't forget that it was Michael Aquino, who was a U.S. Army colonel.
You mean the pedophile, the Satanist?
Certain Satanist. He was one of the what's called the father of the special techniques, psychological weapons that was part of special operations units. This man helped to create a lot of that, send funding for a lot of that. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing this as a government for a very long time and only honing it. Social media is one of the next ones. You don't need narcotics anymore in people's drinks. Just let them thrive on Twitter. The dopamine effect alone, the subliminal messages alone, the amount of people who are actually lonely and getting caught up in these groups. And then you have peer pressure. Peer pressure is a real thing. Okay, peer pressure is a very real thing. I experienced that when I was working in prisons, how peer pressure was used on prisoners. I sat there and watched it. And so for someone who doesn't have a strong will, a strong father figure, X, Y, and Z of problems in their social life, you have people who are already intended victims that are being scattered out. Look at half the freaking active shooters, Buffalo, Uvalde, where the FBI was directly involved in some form or fashion through video games, chat room video games, not narcotics, chat room video games.
Yeah, they definitely.
So there's stuff going on there that.
Oh yeah, they're always fielding things. They have lots of ways to turn the manipulation. DW puts in a couple people at work there. I am ashamed to say I've taken a call from someone talking about this. The people really got shot. People really died. And if it was a staged incident, he has the most faith ever in someone to be downrange of a gunman and wins firing an AR with, I mean, let's be honest, is probably 55 grain bullets he just got off the thing. They weren't. And even then, what the hell? Like, dude, just a gust. And that's you.
Well, I don't know how many
behind you.
I don't know how many people have actually shot an AR from a roof-mounted position, a resting position, a fixed position, and in prevailing winds. I mean, that inch that should have hit him in the face and the eye and hit him in the ear instead. I mean, that is a completely acceptable shot 100%. On a target. Completely
acceptable. Great shot. That's a great shot. 150 yards in wind from a building going down.
And I don't know if it's a red dot or if it was a low-powered variable optic. I have no idea. But me and my broadcast partner Dave Hodges, we do the intel report together. We were talking about this, and I said, "Dude, I guarantee you, he's white. He has ties to Antifa, and it's an AR-15."
Yeah, definitely.
And it doesn't matter anything else as long as those three things get hit. He's white. He's tied to Antifa, and it's AR-15. Correct. That's why I'm saying the fact that happened, not just the plausality, because, AR-15 is the most common thing. White men seem to be the most common thing when it comes to shooters, assassinations for presidents. It's the fact that those three things hit what's in the bills for Congress right now. Right? The ability to want to take away training, all right? The ability to want to take away guns, large capacity magazines, AR-15, semi-automatics, night vision, thermal, body armor, flamethrowers, you name it. They want to disarm the populace to the best of the ability, and they will do anything possible to get to that route. That's what I believe.
You want to hear something funny? It's not funny at all. And I found this out through. I'll speak vaguely, but it'll ring home. And so Stephen Howard's like, we're in the land of deception. Absolutely, everything is deception, but Jesus Christ, the Lord, the light and the truth. I agree with that.
Amen.
I know of a community college that just picked up almost 40,000 rounds of training ammunition for 3 officers. They're one of many that have been distributed throughout the state. I could get a guesstimate on how many rounds the state's putting out to the various universities. And I was like, you have to be joking me. And he's like, no, this is the least. He's like, the bigger university. He said, we just dropped off 300,000 rounds. It's like, you're shitting me. And it's like, what are they doing? It's like, you have 12 officers. You arrest drunk kids. You ride a bicycle. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing right now, man?
I remember when we bought 1 billion rounds of hollow point 40.
I remember that too.
All right. Now, I was never a firearms instructor, but I was directly involved in a lot of our training, and I knew a lot of firearms instructors, especially even on our SRT team. We shot a lot. For just our region, we would buy hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammo, pallets of ammo a year for the next year. 70 officers, and we got to qualify every quarter, so 4 times a year. You have a warm up, maybe a second warm up. You qualify. You get the ability to retest if you fail, follow on training, and then reload for duty ammo. And here's some extra ammo for you to train on your own. Okay, so each officer will dispense quite a lot of ammo, but that ammo is to last for a period of time.
Sure.
So we would have bulk amount of ammo, but every year we ended up using the better half of 3/4 of it.
Yeah.
Now,
so for these universities, wait. I know where you're going for the justification for these universities. The first time they've got it, they've never done anything like this. Their qualification is 23 shots with a pistol. Rifles have just recently been issued to them, and that's going to be 45 shots. And training ammo isn't like go and train on your own time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can justify the amount that we got because we used it.
Yeah. There's thousands of officers training. Yeah.
Well, just in DHS alone, there's over 100,000 police officers just in DHS.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of rounds. And then everybody has freaking police now. Everybody has an SRT team now, and everybody's increasing the amount of training now. But still, 1 billion rounds is a lot. I don't think we've even graced that yet. But no one's shooting 40 Smith & Wessons anymore.
Correct. Nobody is.
Everyone's got.
Everybody's at 9, and these are 9. These are 223, and it just happened a few days ago, and I was like, what? Because the local university cops, they'll train or they qualify. They don't train. They qualify with local PDs, so it's just to those same standards. It's nothing crazy. This is all I could think was it's some kind of federal grant. It's some kind of money they got, and they're not going to pass on, so they're going to take it and just stick it in the storeroom. And then this happened, and I was like, woo. It's like, is it just this school? Like you? And the guy's like, no, it's everywhere. It's all the schools in this state. What about other states? And he's like, I don't know. I know this state. Like, they got like 3 or 4 cops at the one that just got almost 40,000 rounds. So it'd be 10,000 rounds of cop. And that's, if you're training, that's not a lot. That's not, if you're really out there training, it's not a lot of rounds. They're not, dude. They're not.
I want to read something that's on Twitter. Get your reactions, guys. So I don't know who Sean Davis is. I don't have freaking Twitter, but this is one of the things that was sent to me. The Special Operations Division repeatedly made specific requests for resources to protect Trump that were ignored or denied. Giuliani is trying to pretend that giving them an extra penny when they ask for $1 is being responsive. Either Trump's security was inadequate because your agency refused to protect him, or, and this is much, much worse for you, his detail had all the resources it needed and magically refused to secure the most obvious spot in the entire complex. So which is it? Did you give Trump everything his security needed just so you could look the other way when a guy with a rifle climbed on 150 yards away unmolested, or did the assassination attempt happen because Trump's team didn't have the resources it needed? I think either way, this is what's being used in the agenda because they want Biden out. Okay, I don't think it matters who you replace Biden with. No one's going to defeat Trump on a national scale. But remember the whole thing that Trump would talk about with the whole fire and fury thing, wanting to play Russian roulette with nukes with North Korea, who's the only people probably on this world crazy enough to actually use them. We used them before. North Korea would be the second one to use it again. Trump is very egotistical, very impulsive, and machismo of Trump, which I love. I love the smack talking. I think it's super funny how uncomfortable he makes world leaders and the left. I think it's funny, but it's also dangerous at the same time. So after the Las Vegas shooting, Trump bans bump stocks. After being shot in the face, will Trump ban AR-15s?
Probably.
You know what I mean?
That has definitely occurred to me. So this goes like, you guys think 150 yards is long distance for a rifle?
No.
No.
No,
yes, depending on the person.
Well, I used to shoot extreme long range precision, so no, it's not. But for the average person, and this guy doesn't look like he has military training. This guy is crawling. He's on a hot sun roof. He doesn't have any padding laying down, and he has a limited amount of time to start shooting.
Yes, and the choice of weapon is poor.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make a one-stop shot, like this is my chance. No, everything about it was a weird choice.
Well, it's got to come out that he was practicing shooting at some point, though, right? I mean, he's not just going to grab that gun and go up there and do that to even get that close to target, right?
It would even match even better the scenario that he was part of the Antifa training groups, right?
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. But even then, the parents would know. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know.
I think they're going to want us to focus on him. I think it's why he's dressed the way it was. I think it's why he has the weapon he has. The training thing may come out because it would be a really good way to try and coax Trump into, when he gets into office, banning training. I don't know that he would do that. But who knows? Who knows? Because he's not a Second Amendment guy. He's not an informed. He's genuinely not. The fear the other side has of him is kind of unbelievable, really.
Well, I wonder if this guy will be made out to be a lone wolf attacker, which typically is what we consider in law enforcement to be the most probable and also the most dangerous, or if they're going to tie him to a group and then from there spin the yarn.
Oh yeah, they'll gauge the weather, I think, first. So someone posted Revelations 13:3 King James. We were actually talking about that at the beginning. Yep, it did cross my mind, but I'm of a mind when I read things like that, I expect it to be literal and not an interpretation. So yeah.
No, what happens to the Antichrist will look like a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times has this happened before, fellas? Like
Trump getting shot in the head?
Just like assassination
Reagan in 81,
attempts.
right?
Yeah,
Reagan.
it was Reagan,
81,
and we've got Kennedy,
Teddy Roosevelt,
and Lincoln, Roosevelt.
Roosevelt was epic though. He got shot in the death and he did a 2-hour speech afterwards.
Right after getting shot. Yeah.
But how many attempts are made on presidents and
legitimate attempts? Or just crazy people?
And they've been found.
They wouldn't tell us. They would.
Yeah,
that's not anything.
You don't get to hear anything about that. Okay?
No, you don't want to encourage people. Yeah,
there's been plenty.
Yeah,
every
I'm
president
sure there have.
has it.
Yeah,
every single president has it. Everyone has. I don't know. I think Obama had like 8 suspected, if I'm recalling correctly. Trump had a couple, but it's every president, because you got destabilized people who will show up and they've been posting on Twitter or on Facebook that they want to hurt the president or something like that. I mean, Madonna, she said she wanted to blow up the White House with Trump in it, so we got that one. But there's a difference in running your mouth and being upset and trying to bolster something on the internet and actually going out and doing something.
100%. It's 100%. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look for those pre-incident indicators, right? If they're talking shit online, we don't worry about it too much. What happens when the guy that was talking crap stops? He goes radio silent. We got a problem.
Well,
why? Because he's not doing his normal broadcast. He always does his normal broadcast. Did Jeffrey not send in his dirty underwear again? No. We should find him.
Well, I mean, I've been on some of those calls, we had people like, I'm gonna blow up the White House because I didn't get my Social Security check. We do. We show up at their house, knock, knock, knock. Hi, this is me. This is who I'm with. Did you say this at this point in time and date? Yeah. Okay. Did you mean it? No. Great. Can you sign here and tell me that you didn't mean it? Perfect. Please don't do stuff like that again. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Never did anyone go, oh yeah, I absolutely meant that. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's because they're pissed about whatever reason, which 9 times out of 10, I almost agree with them every time. I agree. IRS sucks. I don't know what to tell you. We're all victims of it.
We all hate them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you don't post pictures of their kids online, right? Don't do that again. It's if you think about the brilliance of it, though, and I will say the brilliance of the strategic move is we work up the crazy guy, we let him loose. It's like, what if he puts him down? They're not going to have anyone to fill the shoes. That side's probably not going to do anything about it. There'll be a mourning. We'll spin the media. It's like, what if he fails? Then we're going to get what we wanted. Why? Because things have now changed. This next January 6th will be wild.
Well, they'll do it again.
Yeah.
They'll
100%.
But that's the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, because I think the way I think is because they did it with January 6th. They sucked people into January 6th through propaganda, through mainstream media, through social media. And then from there, the internet fuels the fears and the propaganda and the doomsday thinking. And people naturally will gather together and just start amping each other up. It happens. We've seen it. Everybody has.
We're at the
seen
height
that
of it, like right now. It's never been. It's never been so big right now.
We're building. We're not at the peak yet.
Well, I'm not. I guess I mean maybe not peak, but I mean like it's everyone's talking about doom and gloom right now. The anxiety's through the roof. Could you imagine if he would have turned his head just the other direction and he would have went down? I think the whole country would have exploded, dude. It'd been terrible.
I don't think so. I think you would have had a bunch of upset people, but I don't think they would have done anything. I think to get actual shooting in the street, he has to live. He has to win. Not only that, he has to win by a landslide, because the one thing you should take away is the people on that side of the spectrum aren't going to start shooting people. But the thing we know for a fact is the nutty people on the far left, they'll pick it up. You'll see it in the blue cities first.
Well, there's extremists on both sides.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, January 6th was. I mean, you got a lot of people that kicked those doors in, dude. I mean, that's
you
have opportunity for that.
As someone who was there, the doors weren't kicked in; the doors were open.
And
the people.
Saying.
No.
I'm not saying it literally.
No. It genuinely matters, because that's the offhand reference. Like, and I get it. I make them myself, but the fact is, the doors were open. The people who broke in were federally affiliated,
right?
CIs, right? They were arrested and immediately released, having witnessed and having it. I got it on film. And they just went and took a cup of coffee from DC after they took the handcuffs off. The people you saw got busted were the ones they opened the doors and flagged them in and escorted them through.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Chansley, they give him a guided tour.
They gave him a guided tour. He was never unescorted. He wasn't ruining people's office. You got one guy who took a shit on someone's desk, which, while hilarious, is wrong. Is it you're going to spend the next 8 years in prison wrong? Or is it I'm going to pay a $10,000 fine and I'm never going to do it again?
The amount of people who ended up dying because of January 6th in DC jails by themselves, many who said they were tortured.
Yeah.
And I never saw representation from Trump's team to pay any law firm fees or anything like that. Should be telling to people.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, look, man, I've been arguing with people, and it's not arguing because I'm not here to argue with you. All you who are listening to us right now, to include a few idiots that are here in the chat room and those who leave messages, you're grown men and women. Make your own decision. Go do your Googling research and fuel whatever doomsday fantasies that you want.
Yeah.
The fact remains, propaganda is a tool and a weapon. There is an elite class to this country that is steering us into a direction. I believe the direction is obviously the Great Reset that they want so much. Don't forget the Kigali principles. All right, the Kigali principles. Obama wrote an executive order that allows the United States to request aid from the UN if there's ever a civil uprising. Well, what about the Second Amendment? Which one supersedes the other? right? If we have a tyrannical government, doesn't the Second Amendment allow us to overthrow a tyrannical government? Well, now the tyrannical government is getting its pals from the UN to come and protect it. The agenda's been set. They don't want us with their guns, with our freedoms. They don't want us with our rights. They're scared to death of Christians. They're scared to death of men who love their families and will actually sacrifice themselves for the betterment of their family's future and present. They don't want that. They want subservient, serf class, non-thinking people who love to eat bugs and own nothing. That's what they want. That's what they tell us they want. And they will piss off everybody in the world to steer you into the direction so that they can break the emergency button and have their buddies, the UN, show up.
It is what they want. I agree. I think that is the end goal of what they want. It's we're not to the precipice, but I put a tweet out the other day when all that had happened, and I kind of just got done talking to people, and they're like, "Hey, it's talking to different people. Why would you want to talk? Why would you want to do this? Blah blah blah." And I was like, you know what? You should really just unplug. And that's what I did. I just kind of turned my phone off. I walked away, went and hung out with my friends and my family for the evening. And they're like, why? Because today's the last day that I get to be today. Tomorrow is the beginning of something. None of us know what's coming. Like we're walking towards a precipice. We can now see the edge of the cliff. We can drag our feet as much as we want, but damn, man. Like, you know, I say something on here a lot, and I know I've said it. We've said it I've said it with the show with you, Wrecker. Is I think you will definitely agree. The violence begins when we stop talking, and the violence only ends when we begin talking again. Now that works when both sides want to communicate. Unfortunately, one of the sides seems to clearly say they don't want to talk anymore. Whoever that be, whatever powers that be, like they're done. It sets interesting and unnerving times. And I think right now you just got to pray and have a little faith and stay strapped, man.
Well, the Bible talks about a wise man seeing this type of chaos coming and he's preparing for it, right?
Yes.
I myself saw in many of these violent riots and protests, especially in Portland, which was like the epicenter of it, right? And I speak from my narrow scope of experience, okay? But I'll speak to you from frank honesty, is that we saw two groups, Antifa, the left, the Patriot Prayer group, the right, who we actually liked the Patriot Prayer group. They were generally nice guys who had a lot of hot heads and a lot of macho-ness in there, but dudes who literally just wanted to fight the other side who were claiming to be communists. I completely get that. Completely get that. However, fist fighting, gangs of New York style, is not the same when this group shows up with AR-15s. This group shows up with AR-15s, and here we are.
Animal.
Yeah, here we are, the police, and we were looking at both sides going, all right, get back in the building. When they're done killing each other, then we'll come out and start arresting people still standing.
That's all you
We're
can
not going
do.
to get in the middle of it.
Yeah.
That's all you can do, man.
No, I get it. It's just wild to think about being in that situation. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was super wild. I mean, it's not like we weren't taking bets or anything, but I mean,
my bet's on the prayer guys. Really? But they're God first. Yeah, but you see the way he's shouldering that thing?
I want you to
get
say
some
that.
Bodies.
Hold on. Dave, I want you to say that again.
My bet's on the prayer guys. See the way he's shouldering that thing? He's going to get some bodies.
Understand this psychological warfare stuff. Let's teach the limp-wristed, don't know which bathroom to use, beta male how to shoulder an AR-15, barely give them any training, and tell them to start showing up in the protest. And then let's use the crowd who is primarily red-blooded alpha macho males that are also, a lot of them are veterans, a lot of them are also cops, and they show up on their gear. Who do you think wins in that exchange most of the time?
Oh yeah, no, I'm believe me, I'm aware.
We would say this all the time, dude.
Oh yeah,
like you're setting the left up to be massacred.
Yes.
So you can cry foul on the right.
Correct. Because they have to bring in somebody more organized and competent and give the justification. They need the pictures and justification to call in that next step. Yeah. So they need the cannon fodder. I'm aware they need them to go into the meat grinder. I am peripherally aware of some of the training one of those groups in Chicago was organizing for its communist members. And I talked to the guy who's doing it. I was like, why are you doing that? Because I'm getting paid $10,000 a day. It's like, there's no way those hippies have 10 grand. It wasn't the hippies paying them. It was some political action organization that was paying them. And I was like, you're teaching them for 3 days and you're going to make 30 grand. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, what are they learning? He's like, I don't know. There's like 60 of them. There's no way they're going to get any of this. He's like, you said these guys can't do jumping jacks, bro. Yeah. He's like, watching them do push-ups is painful. Watching them get like, it's just not. But nobody cares about the completion. They just care that we give them the confidence to go through.
It's who gets to draw first blood.
That's bad, man. They're just meat.
We would have our agents out in the crowd, out around the city, and they would randomly hear people like just on buses and trains, commuter trains, talking about the amount of money that they're getting a night to show up to protest against us. And I mean, when you have 4,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 people show up and everyone's getting $200 that night, I'm not that great at math. I was a Marine, so don't ask me, but that's a large number for every night. We know for a fact, and we followed the money because that's what good investigators do, that the money linked to offshore bank accounts, that linked to multiple different other accounts, that linked to George Soros and then to the DNC. And then nothing was done about it. And trust me when I say the FBI knew it, and DHS 100%. Knew it, DOJ knew it, the State Department knew it, state police knew it, and Trump knew it. And nothing was done about it.
Yep. That sounds about right. It's the cartel of power and all the forces of it wanting to come against Lolo USA. And they got to break it up. They got to break it up, and they got to have the justification to bring someone in. And this is a huge step in that direction. Like I said earlier, is, today's the beginning of this new series of events, which unfortunately we're here for, right? Like, we're going through it. It is what it is. Big girl panties on and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy to think about what's going to happen next.
Oh, it's not, though. Like, at some point, you disassociate from that, what it is. Like, if you're not in a major blue city, you're not in a major blue area, you're better off. I would definitely think that. Would you agree with that there, Dougie? Yeah.
I mean, I would plead with people, if you are in a Democratic controlled area, to flee that place. Flee it. It is not safe. Look, man, I went to Iraq 3 times. And the last thing I want to do is to see Iraq come to the United States. But it already is in many places. When I was stationed in Camden, New Jersey, when I first started working for DHS, it was murder capital of the U.S. And then there was Baltimore. We'd go and serve warrants in northern Philly, and I'd be walking around going, I feel like I'm back in Fallujah. My buddies that are in Chicago, same thing. Memphis, dude. Memphis, insane. San Francisco is an outdoor, or what do they say? It's a open, it's an open venue insane asylum, right? Portland was like the breeding ground of domestic terrorism, to include Seattle.
It's funny you say Portland. I was just talking to a woman yesterday. She just moved into my area, and we were chit-chatting. I was riding around and on this little souped-up little buggy. And I was like, oh, you moved to the area? Just trying to get to know her. And she's like, yeah, I'm from Portland. I was like, oh, why'd you move? And she's like, well, it took us a while to sell our house. She's like, and once we did, we just needed to get out of there. And, we felt God took us to Tennessee. And I was like, that's great. East Tennessee's fantastic. You're going to love it here. Yep. She's like, we already do. It's ridiculously hot. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of normal. And so we're going back. And it's not Texas heat. I'm not going to claim Texas heat, but it's pretty warm here. Texas heat is something different. But yeah, and I was like, so what made you move? And she's like, well, we've been trying to move for like 2 years. And I was like, what happened? She's like, I live just outside of Portland proper. And she's like, they were lighting fires and riots, and the ash was coming down like rain on the house. And me and my husband and kids were outside. And she said, that was the moment. She's like, we need out. So the house was for sale for 2 years. It finally sold. It's like we were gone. So we closed. We were in the moving vehicle the next day out of town. It's like we're talking to realtors on the way here.
Yeah, I got a great piece of advice for anyone who's in Portland and Seattle and you can't sell your home. There's this company called BlackRock. I would call them. There's your first use for BlackRock. Yeah, can you buy this thing? I need to flee. I would live in an RV park before I would
nice
ever.
RV parks out there.
There are some dope RV parks.
There's
But I live in
really
an
nice
RV park
parks out there.
before I ever lived in a mansion in Portland, man. I hated Portland. And it's a beautiful area. Man, that whole part of Oregon is just gorgeous.
West Coast is gorgeous, man. That
It
Pacific
really is.
Northwest is unbelievable.
I never went to I've never been to Northern California. And so we
Never
would
been to San
drive
Francisco?
yeah, I've been to San Francisco.
I'm just making a joke that the Californians
Before it was
Yeah.
garbage. Before it was garbage, and everything's a left-hand turn. Or it's a right-hand. So it was maddening. But driving through that part of California, man, that northern part of California, the southern part of Oregon, they actually try to get me to be the commander for the southern part of Oregon. But
cool.
it's gorgeous. And I'm like, what are you people doing? Like, I know for a fact, because I'm talking to people every day, or people are coming and talking to us, that there's a larger majority of red-blooded Americans who are patriots, more than there are these creeps in Antifa and the left. Why are y'all letting these people do this to us? Lazy and complacent, maybe? I don't know.
Gerrymandering their vote. They don't understand how the votes count, and they've been defeated for so long. How can they bring that spark back? Especially when they try to, like, they go to this is the thing from people I've talked to from Northern California, Oregon, Washington. They're like, man, we tried to organize. We went to the city councils. We went to there. You know who, what happened?
Yeah.
Cops throw them in handcuffs, throw them to the curb because, they got a mortgage and they got bills to pay. He's like, so what do? Do we go armed against the cops? Like, will we win? Absolutely. He's like, but then what? What are we doing? He's like, they don't want us here. The system is rigged, and they've put the people with authority in places that will not let us stand up. So unfortunately, you relocate. You relocate.
I think one of the hardest things for Christians to understand, it was for me, was that when you finally get down to the nitty-gritty, that a God appoints the leaders, and that he appoints the leaders that you deserve, not the ones you want, but the ones that you deserve. That just kind of shows me, like, I'm not telling people not to go out and vote. Never tell you to do that. That's your constitutional right. Men died for you to have that right. But I'm just kind of giving up on the whole thing, man. It's a soup sandwich. I don't want to bite out of it anymore. I don't want to yoke myself up with any of these people anymore. So, as in the book of Joshua, for me and my family, we'll serve the Lord. We will continue to prepare, continue to train, continue to get better, and be there to help people. The problem is there will come a day, and disagree with me if I sound ignorant, there's going to come a day when either side, either the left or the right, will give those of us who choose to not side on either side, they'll give us an ultimatum. You're either with us or you're against us.
Yeah. There's evil in that. My friends and I, my family, the people that I live in my little crazy community with, we all just want to be left alone.
Yep.
I don't want to participate. I want to opt out. This isn't what I'm about. You guys, you're fighting over things. Like, it doesn't matter. I can't influence. All I can do is my best. I stay out of the areas where I'm not welcome. That's fine. You don't want me in this city. You don't want people like me. You don't want, because of the way I choose to defend myself or live my life or the things I believe. That's okay. I'll stay away. That's okay. I will play that, but stop trying to push me here. And luckily, since so much you can look at the graphical representation and or just maps of the people who think and believe that way in rural areas. That's the majority of the country. The minority of the country are people who live in confined areas of madness with entirely too many people. That is not the way humans were meant to live, and it's driving them crazy.
Did you guys? Has everybody seen that prediction that guy did?
The prophecy guy?
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Doug?
What is it?
The prophecy
lot of
guy, the
false
guy who a
prophets
while
out there.
ago had prophesied that someone
4
would try and
months
shoot
ago.
Trump, and it would go
I'm
by his
gonna
ear.
bring it up because obviously we've got a conspiracy show.
It's pretty good.
His last name Briggs or something like that?
Yeah.
Like 3 months ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets pretty close. It's pretty
close.
scary.
It's something, man.
Yeah, for sure.
He said, I am not done with America. He said, there's going to be a new wave of patriotism coming out. And that's whenever I saw Trump and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan. And then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they were all on they had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation. And it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, all throughout. And I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great, the Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer, great persecution.
Can't hear you, Ollie.
Mainly that bit I wanted to show. It's just the whole thing with the ear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a bit wild.
I don't know enough about the guy.
I don't know either. Never heard of him before.
No, but even if the guy's a phony, he's done a really good guess there.
Pretty good.
What do you think to that, Rekka?
You don't want my answer.
Go for it, buddy.
I do. If the
That
guy's
means we
full
want
of
it.
shit, just say he's full of shit, you know?
I want to know how many other prophecies he's made, because if any of them didn't come true, then there's my answer. The enemy can just as easily use false prophets and have lying wonders. And
Good answer.
you know, in Matthew 24, one of the first things that the master tells us, Jesus tells us, is do not be deceived. Many will come in my name, not just saying that they are Christ, but come in the name of Christ and do unspeakable horrors and deceive people. And at the time was not cut short that even the very elect, which are those saved by God, God's chosen people, would be deceived.
He should make it harder. It's not hard enough yet.
You know, the thing is, man, is like, and look, like I said, it's not that I don't like Trump. I love the way people squirm whenever they're around Trump. Ain't nothing funnier to me than watch Trump shake another world leader's hand and rip them off their feet. It's funny. However, what's not funny and what's very concerning is how people have created this Messiah-like idolic image of Trump. And we're not supposed to be like that. And if this is God's man, then why is he for one of the things that God said he hates people whose hands rush to murder? Trump is pro-abortion. If you are not anti-abortion, then you are pro-abortion. God is not pro-abortion. God hates the murder of the innocent, and he does not like murder. He says that in his 10 Commandments. And look, this is my personal belief that unless Donald Trump truly does repent, truly does stop the things he's doing, does stand up for God. For one thing, I'd love to hear him say openly that Jesus Christ is Lord, not that Jesus Christ is more popular than him, because that's the only thing I've ever heard him say when in regards to Jesus. A lot of people talk about God and don't mean Jehovah. A lot of people talk about God and don't mean Yahweh. Right? So I would love for this to be something that changes Trump. Last night, 3 a.m, I'm walking around outside. Man, I'm praying for Donald Trump, for his family, for protection, for healing, that he would be redeemed. that he'd be washed in the blood of the Lamb, that he would live righteously and serve us righteously. But also, I prayed the same thing for Joe Biden. We're supposed to pray for our enemies. And there's a lot of pastors right now who are having calls for a violent, armed revolt from Christians in this country, and they're propagating Donald Trump as the leader of it. That is not of God. And if you're not a Christian, you don't understand it, hey man, sorry, you need to probably read the Bible. But if you are a Christian and you don't understand that, then you definitely need to read your Bible, because none of that is of God. That is all of the enemy.
Yeah, it definitely concerns me because it went into a weird, especially like right after the shooting, it went into this crazy deification. The posts, the things people were saying, and it just,
The imagery is incredible, though.
I mean, it is.
It
And
is,
I'm not even talking about that. I mean, the
Yeah.
literal, the written word and statements
I
people were
see what
putting
you're
out.
saying. Yeah.
You know, you had Milo Yiannopoulos coming out saying some pretty crazy stuff about like, here it is. I found it. I'll read it to you. It says, "It has been obvious since 2016 that Trump carries an anointing of some kind. My American friends, you are so blind to reason and deaf to hear heaven. Can he do all this and cannot get a crown? This man is your king. Coronate him and watch every devil shriek and every demon howl." My response is saying odd shit like this makes me really lean towards Revelations 13, 11, and 12. And it goes on and on and on. And that is an unsettling statement. It is an unsettling statement. It bothers me.
It's hard to call something divine intervention when somebody else dies. It's tough.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
I mean, like, I'm not even calling it, like, that's not even my thing.
No,
My
I'm not
thing is
saying
the
you're saying that,
king,
but
the
that's kind of what you're-
crowns, the all the jazz that's going into it. I agree with Doug. It's been deified. It's like it's a guy who almost got shot, but he got away. Cool. If God's hand is on it and that was his will, fantastic. I'm not going to start throwing crowns at the man's feet and worshiping him at the words he says. He's just some dude.
Yeah.
And I think that's coming back into frame, but for a moment there, it got lost, and that spooked me. Because what comes next? How much further does it have to go? Yeah, we're in weird times, man. We're in weird times. But I tell you what, if that stupid AR comes back, it's like a black sword or some other thing like that, I told my wife, I was like, we're gonna sell everything and buy a boat. We're out. I'm out. It's too much for me. I'm gone, man. I don't have to be here. I don't have to do this. Yeah, it's.
So what's the future? What happens now? Everything just kind of goes back, or do they another attempt on him in a different way, or
no? What's there to? I mean, what's there to go back to? We crossed a huge bridge, and it hasn't sunk in. I think into the majority. I think some have. I think Doug. I think you get exactly what I'm saying. Like we crossed something. Because think about this: it does not matter who wins this election. So much evidence, even circumstantial, is coming to the point that the government has facilitated in the attempted assassination of a former president and future presidential candidate. That is an easy point to argue, right? It's a very easy point to argue. Okay, it's slipping into the mass consciousness, which they definitely wanted because they have closed down the media cycle for a while coming into this. It's been pretty quiet, and now you got this. So that means everyone's batteries are recharged. They're not burnt out. They're ready to absorb this, whether they got them or they didn't. They're going to get it into the consciousness. I agree with Doug. They're getting people worked up, man. They're pushing towards something, right? And I think we would generally agree on what that end is. They're moving that way, and we can't come back. It matters how we handle ourselves going forwards. You know, what do you think, Doug? What's next?
Well, I think it's going to be really hard to debate Trump. I think it's going to be really hard for Biden to debate Trump. And all he has to do is point at his ear. You know,
Yep.
And once again, I believe in propaganda. I would not be shocked. if there was a large-scale terrorist attack that killed a lot of people at a MAGA rally. Wouldn't be shocked at all. Don't want it to happen. I will pray that it does not happen. But a large venue like that is a soft target.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wouldn't be surprised if it came from a drone. I remember years ago when we were getting these security briefings, we were worried about the Super Bowl and that drones would be used to fly into the crowd to hurt people and maybe even carry biological weapons on them or small explosives, because this is what the cartel does.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy 90% of everything you need to weaponize a drone right now on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that from watching a Ukrainian dude go and do it. So the future for America obviously is chaotic. I believe the intended goal is to get us into a civil war along with the World War. I think part of that goal is to take down the grid of America. You don't really have to do much of anything else but take down the grid, and we're not going anywhere. And it probably wouldn't matter which coast it happened to if they could get all three grids. There's 9 transmission stations that's in between the country that connects the East Coast to the West Coast. There's 9 specific transmission stations that if you were to take those 9 out, it would drop the power at the same time to West Coast, East Coast. Texas is on its own grid, but you have the Department of Energy and NERC and the Biden administration that are wanting Texas to join the grid. And I believe if we join the grid, then would that be for, if not a hard attack, then would it be a cyber attack? And it's not talked about a lot, but the one of the things that I worry about the most is a artificial intelligent generated cyber attack, something that would make Stuxnet's or one of those other type of cyber attacks that we did on Iran.
0-day entry that a cyber attack affects physical equipment.
Makes it look like child's play. I mean, the availability and technology is there. We can do it.
Currently,
Texas
to my
alone,
knowledge, as I say, to my knowledge on this, the most vulnerable places right now are major cities, metropolitan areas, especially LA, on the West Coast and East Coast, because of the equipment they are currently using and retrofitting with are all foreign made. Those components operate with software that is foreign made, not US made. There are certain areas like, I think it's Texas, Tennessee, the Tennessee Valley Authority, and a couple of the nuclear reactors, well, all nuclear reactors, but the distribution hubs that go beyond that, like the substations you move it through, the power control system, they're foreign made. And the West Coast, especially, China gave them a huge discounted deal. So like PG&E just outfitted everything with it for their intelligent systems and their intelligent grid. Nobody knows what's on the backware. And after what you saw we did to, like Doug just mentioned, with Iran's centrifuges, with the 0-day attack that we had in the back door to mess with their physical equipment, start dropping substations, man. It takes a long time to build up new ones.
Well, I mean, the Nuclear MP Commission, along with the Congress, I can't remember which committee it was, but they found the back door to at least 2 of these large transformers. And these transformers, which are so big, so out of date, and the ones that we get that are produced take up to 2 years to produce, take up to a year to install, to transfer and install. Most of the time that can only be transferred either via ship, so waterway, and then from there via railroad. The problem is most of our railroads are not inspected enough to actually know if they can handle the weight per ton, let alone just the railroad itself on flat terrain, but crossing bridges. So if we needed to actually move one of these huge things, which is coming from Korea or it's coming from China, we may not have the physical capability once it gets here, and it may take months and months and months longer to. And at it was 2, and now they're saying it's well over a dozen that they've discovered the Windows backdoor for the Chinese hacker control system. They say there's no way to shut it off either. There's nothing to do about it. Now, you don't have to do a cyber attack. You can do what Antifa did on the West Coast quite a bit, or members of ELF as well, is that you can just light the woods on fire. People underestimate how easy it is for eco-terrorism to wipe out population centers and to wipe out transmission power lines. It's actually extraordinarily easy. On the West Coast, the Northwest Coast, it is not uncommon every couple months to see multiple telephone poles with the attempted chainsawing into it to try and knock down the power by the leftists. We've caught them in action doing it. The Achilles heel, what NERC says, and what the EMP commission that was led by Dr. Peter Vincent Price said, is that the Achilles heel, the glass jaw of America, is our power grid. And we saw, was it last year or the year before last, there was 23 physical attacks upon the power grid, all by white supremacists, right? So I think that's the biggest thing that we should be protecting right now, and that we should be upgrading, and we're not. Most of your substations, you drive by in your own town and you can see the standard chain link fence that is protecting, your county's power supply. It's a joke. And I think it's meant to be that way because it's an easy, soft target, and we're leaving it out for the open.
Are you familiar with the attacks on the internet backbone outside of LA that they did in conjunction with attacking the large transformers? They put different caliber holes, different places, different transformers, and somebody was obviously testing to see how long it would take, and then they repeated the tests in South Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah, that's control, observation, patience, watching the response. There's definitely some cells who could do some damage. It doesn't take a lot of people. It's curious to see what's going to happen in these next few months. That goes through my mind too. I'm also worried about a communications attack. Cell phone networks are unbelievably vulnerable, and so many card readers for point of sale systems use them. Internet uses them. Yeah,
I would tell anyone I would just tell anyone who's listening to us right now, like, even if you think that we're just like being very hyperbolic, our intel agencies are not, our military is not, our federal law enforcement's not, and our allies around the world are all in a heightened state right now. Everybody's bracing for an impact, which they're not going to tell us because of OPSEC, but I would tell you, just based off my own professional experience, please have at least 3 to 6 months of water and food and your medicine. Please have some way to protect yourself. If you can have some form of way, about stuff like this, start stocking up on gasoline and diesel. Most people don't ever keep their tanks filled up, and most of the time their tanks go all the way down to nothing. If your tank goes down to half a tank, fill it back up. Have at least 2 refills for your gas tank. Your area of operations, right, if you have to bug out for any reason, is based on what is sitting in your gas tank. Okay, so if you never fill it up and you got a boogie for whatever reason, you are now, you're now relying upon a vehicle that has X amount of miles that can travel, and now you have to stop, potentially fill it up. I hope that the power is still on and you can fill it up, and I hope that we're not looking like Haiti and it's an absolute war zone around any of these freaking places. Man, I was in Haiti. Haiti is a war zone. Haiti, for me, was the scariest place on earth, and Haiti taught me a lot of things. And so you know, being being personal close security to a very high value target in Haiti, I learned a lot of different things about stopping and going very quickly and how people observe you very quickly and they follow you and they make notes of you. I mean, like you don't think about it until you actually are not behind the steering wheel and you get to observe everybody. And they see how many times you stop at stop signs. They see where your typical route. I mean, you gotta understand people are predatory and people will prey upon you if you look weak and if you look like prey. So when, you know, no offense, but when prophecy hits the fan, don't look like a soft target. That's my biggest advice to you.
I think that's great advice, mate. I mean, I think anybody can.
I read that earlier.
Yeah, the reason I'm on my phone is because I'm still getting contacted about crazy nonsense that I can't talk about on here. Tim.
I think it's good advice. I think everybody, even myself, could do with stocking up a little bit more.
This is a good question.
For a rainy day.
Safe distance in miles from a city.
Yeah.
From a metropolitan area. What do you think, Doug?
There is no safe distance from people.
Good answer.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I don't worry about the nukes. I worry about the people.
Yeah. I would not be in a major metropolitan. I would not be in a suburb. I would not be in a city. I would be out as far away as possible, but you're not the only one with that train of thought. So one of the biggest advices that I give to people, and we have clients who reach out to our training company and we talk about this type of stuff, is that, you know, having the ability to have backup, having a network of people means I can go to sleep and someone can stay awake and watch me, right? The teamwork with a community, that's the most important thing. Reach a community of people that are pretty locked on, and you're always going to have idiots, but you got to have a proper way of dealing with idiots. But it's that the next step of danger. Like if we turned into Mexico overnight, you may have a pretty locked on group of dudes, but are you good enough for the cartel coming down the road? Right? What's your existential plan for that one? What's your exegete plan? You know,
Yeah.
Do you have more than one bug out location? Because you may need it.
Yeah, funds also become a restrictor on these things. I mean, you can always war game it to the end, but I agree with you. You know, a little bit of practical. Have some food, have a way to protect yourself, have fuel, have a generator if you can get one, which can also make you target. Just depends on how long things are, and if it looks like it's prolonged, then turn it off and say you ran out of gas. It tends to be your neighbor that tends to be the problem.
So there's some people who are asking about communication and stuff. I'll tell you a pretty cool thing that we learned in the military and also in law enforcement was to turn your vehicle into your base station / survival tent, your mobile backpack, right? My vehicle is just a larger extension of my backpack. It's got my tent, my capabilities in it. It's got my radios in it. I can warm up my food. I can purify my water in it, and I can move. I can get off the X. So, you know, I like to have a vehicle that's reinforced for those capabilities, and it don't take much really. You know, when it comes turn to radio communications, remember that a radio is something that you should be using to listen to, not really to speak on, because every time you speak, you give away your voice, who you are. That's the first bit of intelligence that people get to hear, and then you get to start to give away your location. If you're mobile, that's one thing, but if you're stationary and you're talking all the time, it's not hard to triangulate. It's really not. If you've got a scanner, I can sit here and I can watch you talk, and I can point my radio in your direction, and I can see based off my radio when the lines start buzzing up and down quite a bit, I know your direction, and with two guys, I can easily direction find you. It don't take long. It's actually rather scary. Ham radios are always great, but just remember OPSEC. Don't tell people who you are and that you got kids and that you've got a wife. Don't tell them where you're staying. These are things that should be talked about in private because you never know who's listening, right? So just remember that.
I think that's solid advice, man. As we come up on the hour-and-a-half mark that I know Ollie didn't want to go past.
Well, we also get the AI tool that we can use for putting the show out more. If we don't go over a certain,
keep it short.
But yeah, it's been a wild show. I know I stayed quite quiet. But I'm not American, and I just kind of thought I'd just let you boys.
I'm just listening, man. It's an interesting conversation.
It's fascinating, and it's this was going to be a totally different show, guys. I know you were expecting the Turkey UFO and those
the missile casing part,
and those meta materials, but we will come back to that because I've already made the intro for it. Unless anything, well, I don't know. Next week's shows could be totally different.
Please just talk about aliens and stop talking about politics.
Hey, for all you guys on here, not the people watching, I'm deliberately leaving you out. I've just for you guys with me, stay on afterwards. I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to blow your mind.
All right,
about the FBI and shenanigans. That it's like 48 hours old, I guess, 24 hours old, something like that. It's but not for public consumption. Sorry, everybody.
So Rekka, start with you, my friend. You obviously I've linked it in the description, but tell the people where they can find you.
So we're on YouTube. American Vindicta Show is over on YouTube. We're also on Rumble, but I never post anything over there because Rumble sucks. So listen, I preach the word of God. I'm out there trying to convince people to come back to Christ. And from there, we also talk a lot about politics, training, preparing. We have an actual training company called Vindicta Solutions, where we take people through a physical conflict style of training where you actually have to combat people and not paper targets. So it's called a scenario-based training. It's what we taught law enforcement, how to deal with people, and we give civilians that ability to come through that same sort of experience. And it is always a fun time. It's pretty awesome course, and we're about to put forth a patrol survival course, which is going to be pretty hellish. Actually, it's in the mountains of Tennessee. So if you're from America, you're interested in training, vindictasolutions.com. We have a lot of fun out there. It's welcome to anybody, to especially law enforcement and military, and plenty of our federal friends. I know some of you fat people in the agencies, you need a little bit of training as well. So we're open to all people. And also, most importantly, is that if you have any prayer requests, you can reach out to us and we can pray for you. So that's it. That's me.
Matthew.
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at Terrestrial MAT here, Terrestrial Material. It pops right up when you start putting it in. But no, I got a YouTube channel on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. I go over the latest UFO news, disclosure news, what's going on with Congress, all of that stuff. You can check it out there. It's a lot of fun.
And on that note, people, make sure you go check out Lee's show that we pre-recorded with Bart Sabrell. That was cool. And Bart will be joining us again, I think, in 3 weeks. But yeah, this will be the third show we did. I couldn't make that one because I just moved in, had no internet. But stay safe, people, and mind the bugs don't bite.
And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Moving to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Stand. We ready?
Then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming.
Boom.
Get yourselves a t-shirt.